Welcome to part two.
There you go, mate.
Well, you were saying about his nose. It's a horrific thing to deal with.
Yeah, it was a really difficult thing to deal with. Getting hit like that. Punches generally don't hurt when you're in a boxing ring. You know, the head punches because the adrenaline, everything else. But those will have hurt. You know, his nose went, his eyes were weeping. Now, me as a coach, right, and I've been in situations sometimes where do I pull this kid out, do I not? As a coach, you go back to the corner. Yeah, we deal with facts. He's been dropped twice hard. Yeah. That's one fact. He's against a guy who's one of the fittest professionals, I'd say, in the world, Martinez. His fitness is incredible. So he ain't going to stop coming forward. 3, Jordan Gill has got the power to turn that fight around. Yeah, those are 3 facts I would look at. And 4, he's getting tagged easily. He's getting countered easily. So as a coach, I'm thinking, right, what do I do right now? Do I pull this kid out at the end of the 3rd round? I personally would have done. That might have seemed a bit early for some people. He comes out in the 4th round and he gets dropped again. And at that point, if you haven't made a decision after the 3rd round to pull him out, at that point when he gets dropped again, that fight's over. And what we saw was another knockdown. I thought the referee was poor. I thought Dave should have pulled him out at the end of the 3rd or definitely after the 1st knockdown. It's easy for me to say, you know, I've had criticism myself as a coach. You're in there, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But there is absolutely 0 chance of you turning that fight around in the 3rd round. This is just not going to happen.
Do you think that Penfold got it wrong?
Again, I look at styles and I look at the deficiencies of my boxer and I look at the strengths of my boxer. Now, if you're fighting a guy like Martinez, you know you absolutely have to be able to move non-stop for 12 rounds. You got to be able to box for 12 rounds because he's a tiger. He keeps coming. Now, Gill, in his last fight, he turned it around brilliantly, and credit to Dave there for the advice, but he got beat up in his last fight, didn't he? He gets hit, doesn't he? He gets tagged.
Do you think, though, after 30 fights, though, now that he should be a bit more further on, or do you think he's found his level and he's maybe British level kind of thing?
Yeah, he's British level. There's no issue with that. I thought Eddie, I smiled when Eddie said afterwards, I saw him in an interview, because I caught the interview this morning. They said, what next for Jordan Gill? And he said something like, oh, he's got to be at world level, and we'll have to see what happens. I just thought, nah, he's been beat twice, mate. You'll be dropping Jordan Gill, you won't be supporting Jordan now.
When you look at Martinez's record, his last 6, in my opinion, he's won them all. He got robbed in the Barrett fight, didn't he?
Yeah.
So you could say he's on a good run, and he's just running through all these Brits, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a good fighter, and that shows it was a good performance by Warrington to stop him. It just shows how strong and tough Josh is. Martinez is an absolute handful for anybody. I thought this guy, I remember Martinez. I once had a boxer on the undercard of Martinez against Rendell Monroe a long time ago. It was a bloody handful, absolute strong man. Physically, you have to look at him. He's absolutely shredded. He's a good guy. I don't think he's elite, but he's a good kid. People say, "Wow, is he not elite? He's a former world champion." You know what I always mean when I say elite. Talk about something else. Yeah. But Jordan Gill, nothing wrong with being domestic level. I've worked with domestic level operators myself, but that's absolutely his level. But what I would be really doing is I'd be looking at either the matchmaking, because of what I've said, he's got the weaknesses, or I'd be looking at giving him some. It's not easy to do, but he needs to work on his up-close defense and his core strength. And that was the one thing, not being critical of Zelfa Barrett, but Zelfa Barrett in that fight showed the same thing against Martinez. There's something it's something I obsess over, actually, and did as a coach. There's something about a lot of British fighters, the slicksters, the skillsters, the movers, where they just can't fight inside. That holding that spot. There's very, very few fighters in the UK who are getting taught the inside game.
Yeah. Do you think Mick Whale might be kicking this then now, knocking that Jordan Gill fight back 2 years ago? When they offered him it for 10 rounds and he said, no, we'll fight him, but we want 12. For Josh Whale, do you think they might regret not taking that now.
It was a winnable fight, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know how active, Josh is in the gym now. I don't really know what he's up to these days, but I don't know. I understand it's a business, but sometimes when people pick over 2 or 3 grand, and I just think
Rounds and that.
Yeah, I want 12, not 10. Sometimes you just said, you know what? If I think I've got the better fighter, then if I have to prove it over 10, I'll prove it over 10. I'll prove it over 8 rounds, whatever. It's boxing, isn't it? So you have to adapt to those rules. But
maybe they should have offered him over 8 and he'd have asked for 10. No, we all like a bit more. We like a bit of a bang for his buck, don't we? I suppose.
Yeah, but when you look at, I mean, Josh Wales is a strong lad, isn't he? He's one of those. I remember him sparring Sykes over at Lockers. He just keeps coming. He keeps coming.
Josh Wales.
Josh is fit. He's strong. A cricket bat won't knock him out. He's just
like a machine, like a little machine.
He's a threshing machine. He's fit. He's got good hands, and he just walks forward.
He just keeps coming, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got no reverse gear whatsoever, and he's got none, has he? You know what I mean?
Like Johnny Nelson.
He doesn't have the entertainer's reverse gear, mate, does he? But I mean, I always look at this like, I don't know if Josh is retired now, but if he's retired and he's won a British title, it's a good career, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. What next for DAZN? Not looking good, is it?
No, job centre, mate.
All right. Fury Chisora. Why are they promoting it as Fury Chisora, not Fury Chisora 3? And do you think that charging what they're going to be charging on pay-per-view and using the secondary ticket market, where 65 quid tickets are a lot more than what they should be? Do you think after Bricktop chipping away for years at Eduardo Hills, about the old secondary ticket market stuff, do you feel that now that's come home to bite Bricktop in the arse because they're now using it, but nobody's asking him questions about secondary ticket market? Because he used to go on about it. Stab. Well, they're using StubHub now, but Cougs, how come you're not asking Frank about that, or you, Umar IFL, or Danny Flexen, Frank's little pet? Why are you not asking Frank about secondary ticket markets? I don't see anybody asking these people about this. Why not? In the middle of a global recession as well.
Yeah, everybody's making money, mate. Nobody cares. As long as they make money, nobody cares. I mean, whatever happened to getting a ticket at face value price? Whatever happened to that? I just using these brokers. I don't like it, mate. I go see a lot of live music, and I pay reasonable prices for it. I always look where I'm buying them and stuff. I pay, but the percentage and the markup they're putting on this stuff, it's like bloody daylight robbery, isn't it?
Okay. I'm going to go back in time here, about 9.5 years. I had 3 phone calls off Bricktop late at night.
Okay.
Got my babies in bed, twins just been born. Friday nights there were, three Fridays on the trot. Ranting and raving, because I was a bit of a nuisance on Twitter back in there. I used to set about a lot of them, but with statistics.
Mm-hmm. One
of that lot, I'm not going to say who, but he knows who, rung next door today. You know about it. They rung next door. This is that guy's rung again. They come round, give me a phone here. Effing and blinding, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, I've been critical about Fury Chisora, haven't I? This is how I look at it. You ring my sponsors again, right? And I'll put a video out every single day for 30 minutes, statistics, and I'll go back in time 10 years. And I'll do that every day. I've been doing this channel 5 years. There ain't nobody going to stop me doing this channel. Nobody. We've had Daniel Kinahan ring Dennis. Tony Bell, you ring Dennis. You ringing me. Or ringing them to get to me. Nobody's going to stop me. All right? I'm unstoppable. So I just want to put that out there. That's all. We'll put that to bed now. But if you haven't got a problem, Bob, go to Dennis's show on 19th of November. I'll see you there. You're welcome. You could come as my guest. All right. Now, the Fury Chisora. Is it worth pay-per-view or is it garbage?
Like I've said, if you're a Jake Paul fan, you don't care if Jake Paul fights his mother, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Tyson Fury fan, you probably don't care if he fights Derek Chisora. I think it's one of those things. You've got a choice. You go or you don't. You watch or you don't. Some ways they've got us by the short and curlies, but like I said, I don't think any show's worth, any individual fight's worth the pay-per-view money they're charging. I don't think any fight's worth the ticket prices. I used to go to a lot of, not just as a coach and being on the, fighters on those bills. I used to go to a lot of fights. I've been to loads of fights over the years, professional fights, big fights, and just like 30, 40 quid for good bills, and the prices that they're charging for something what is an absolute mismatch. We all know it. I've said this before. I've no issue with Fury fighting Chisora again. I've no issue whatsoever as long as he keeps active. The issue I have is it's in a 70,000 seater. They're charging astronomical prices. They're charging pay-per-view. So they're dressing it. They're still dressing it up as like, premium steak.
And Chisora, what did Frank Warren say the other day? It could have gone either way, Chisora Usyk. What are they watching? Didn't he say he should have retired after that? And what we got now, they've dug him up. They've dug Chisora up. Now all of a sudden he's a credible opponent. I ain't buying it, Bricktop. I'm not buying it, lad. And I've been championing Bricktop for months, haven't I, on here? I said he's back on his perch. And he is. I think he's the main guy again now. And that's why he's got his swagger back. But don't try and bully me, because he ain't got a chance. Bigger men than you have tried. Unbelievable.
They think that we covered the Ben thing, but they think we're stupid, don't they? Don't try and dress this up to be something it's not, all right? It's a public star. Derek will get a couple of black eyes and a couple of million. He'll be happy. Tyson gets a bit of activity out before the big hope for the unification next year. Yeah. That's fine. The fans will go home happy because they've seen Tyson, but just don't dress it up to be something it's not. Eddie Hearn said about Katie Taylor's opponent last night. He goes, no, she punches harder than her record suggests. So if she's got 2 stoppage wins in 17 fights, Eddie, she don't punch hard, mate. Shut up. Stop. She's
got a better punch KO ratio. She's got a better punch KO ratio than Big John Fury, big fighting man. In the ring or on the hard road. Pop, pop, bang. MI5 are watching me. 100-0 on the hard road, 100 knockouts, but no footage. Which brings me to, you remember the £1,000 reward for any footage of any fights with John Fury on hard road? Yes. 100 fights. Well, I took 300 quid out of it about 2 months ago. So I needed some cash. I left it in there, forgot all about it. And I found it earlier under a lot of these cosmetic beach business cards. What a touch! What a time to be alive! So,
nice.
And nobody claimed the reward, did they? Nobody claimed it.
I mean, I've said this before about John Fury. Clearly, the guy can fight. He's a big 6 foot.
Oh, he ripped your head off, man. Oh.
Yeah,
if he gets me, he's just going to grab me and shake me to death. But John, come and give me a big kiss and a big hug.
Yeah. He can fight, and I respect all ex-pros, and I think he's amazing what his son's achieved. No issue, but I always wonder, and I'm not going to start incriminating myself with Big John Fury, but the numbers are always rounded off, aren't they? Lenny McLean said he had 30,000 street fights. He'd have to have one every hour or something. And John had 100-0. It's like the brilliant numbers, aren't they? They always round
100 by way off. He's got a better KO ratio than the Billy Ricky Iceman.
I don't doubt for 1 minute John Fury's had fights on the cobbles and he's as hard as nails.
He hasn't, mate. He's had fights in pubs, side-shotting people. That's all he's good for.
100-0s are pretty impressive. Well, who was the guy? Remember the guy who fought Smoking Bert Cooper?
Yeah, Holyfield.
No, the guy who was the bare knuckle fighter.
Right.
He said I'm going to get it wrong, but I think he said he had he was 49-0 or something. It was like a ludicrous record. And he fought Smoking Bert Cooper with the gloves on. It was absolutely shite. And it's on YouTube. He gets smoked in about a minute. Joe Hip, I think he's called. He gets smoked in about a minute and a half. And listen, I always remember the Steve Farhood comment. Steve Farhood was the editor-in-chief of KO magazine. And he said, there are professional boxers and they're everybody else.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a really good comment. But John Fury, tough man, 100-0. I don't think so.
We're going to have to do a part 3, Julian, because we've got so much to go through. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Mate.
okay, I'll just send you another link after this. So if it cuts that, I'll just send you another one.
Yeah.
Okay, they're getting a treat today, aren't they? 2 hours worth. Lomachenko won. Well, didn't he? Won every round, in my opinion, but they're saying he won. One judge had him winning by 7-5. I had him winning. I had him winning probably all of them, except probably 2. Or man, they were probably shared. He didn't lose a round. What do you think?
Right, I'm going to disappoint you. I
No,
know.
I don't know. Go on.
No, I know the result. I've not seen it yet. It's on my list of things to. I think I'm going to make Anna watch that tonight, purely because remember I said to you before. I know. Listen, we've got boxing widows, haven't we? Remember saying to you before, the days of me getting up at 3 a.m. to watch fights are long gone.
Long gone.
So I've had a ton of things to do this morning. I'm going to watch it tonight. I think Lomachenko's an absolutely brilliant fighter. I never bought into this. He's the greatest of all time, and certainly in the pro ring, because he hasn't had enough pro fights. But his amateur pedigree is frightening. His skill level's frightening. I love watching what he does. He's one of the few fighters in even world-class fighters who doesn't have patterns. You know, you have fighters, and every fighter has a pattern, and you can generally break it down. Lomachenko's got no patterns whatsoever, so he's really hard to fool. I think he's brilliant. I mean, the only thing I will say is, how old is he now?
30 odd, isn't he?
So he's in incredible shape, but he's not a spring chicken, is he? And I do wonder if the 2 or 3 lightweights who are just a little bit younger than him might, a bit like
Devin Haney.
a bit like Lopez did. I just wonder if there might be a tiny bit too fresh for him now.
But too much bigger.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly. Okay. Can I just say good luck to Ash next door? He's Eastwood Autos. They've partnered up with that Izzy Asif, you know, started doing shows, Asian kid.
Yes.
He's on IFL. Well, I first met Izzy about 5 years ago up at Dennis's farmhouse, and he pulled up about 11 o'clock at night. And me, him, and Dennis's brother-in-law were sat up till about 5 in the morning, drinking tea, that is. Yeah. So everybody will say, oh, Pokey, right, you had no, we're drinking tea. And he used to be a cricketer and a fast bowler, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and obviously I love me cricket, so we spoke about cricket all night and that, and he was on about doing boxing. And he's ex-boxer as well, and ex-cruiserweight, isn't he?
Well,
so,
the thing is for me, we need fresh blood coming through, don't we? We need new promotions. So good luck to him. What I heard was the way he'd done the dome out was kind of different. He'd done it in quite a more theatrical kind of innovative way. And I thought somebody with some fresh ideas, challenging how things are, the framework, how things are done is great. I've never met, I've only heard him twice. I've come across his videos, speaks really well, down to earth, and good luck to him. Good luck to his boxers. I'm sure he'll do brilliantly.
I like him. I like him.
I liked him when I listened to him, and when I heard him, I thought, there's something about him. It was like a down to earth.
He's a proper nice kid, honestly. If you get to know him, he's all right. He'll be doing well if him and Ash will do all right, because he's the businessman next door. And I want to say thanks to Ash for giving me my new car at cost and not showroom price. I know I'm cheeky, Ash, putting you on my billboard, but that were all part of the plan, mate. I said, come on, Ash, give me a trade, man. You're on my billboard.
You scratch my back, Ash. That's how it works, isn't it?
I could see how devastated they all were next door. So I'm really happy. So thanks a lot for that, Ash. John Ryder against Parker. Didn't seem to be much bounce about this fight, do there? Because John Ryder's a bit of a quiet guy, isn't it? there's no razzmatazz around it, although it's a proper good fight, isn't it?
Listen, do you know what? If we have a fight between, let's call them domestic, but they're probably a little bit more than that. But if we have a fight between two good quality British kids, yeah, and they're not giving it all this at the weigh-in, and they're not pushing and shoving and flipping tables, and they're not insulting each other's mother.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Breath of fresh air.
Yeah. Yeah. The emergence of Neil Marsh. He's gone about his business for a few years now, very quietly. I think they were treated pretty badly, weren't they, from Hearn with David Ebenetian, weren't they? It looks like they wanted to just kind of like get him beat or park him up and all sorts, aren't they? But we persevered, and they're going to be fighting everybody's top 5 pound for pound guy. He might be number 1, he might be number 5. He's in there. If that kid can pull this off, you'd have to say that's fighter at year, wouldn't you? Just like if Butler can beat an OU, that kid's earned he's European champion, he's a former world champion, he's beat Shane Mosley. That David Ebenetian, they've been treated crap by Hearn, haven't they? And you'd have to say Bricktop's done well for him, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, I mean, people, you know, we haven't got the unification we wanted from Crawford and Spence, all right, again, but it's nice to see someone new in the mix. I know he's been around for a while at fringe world level, but David Ebenetian can fight. Those guys around him, you know, Greaves and Marsh, those guys around him have done a good job for him. And again, he's been avoided, certainly avoided by Mr. Ben. It had chased him all around that ring. And people automatically just dismiss challenges, don't they? I know I've just done the same thing with Chisora and Fury, but that's something completely different. But anything can happen in boxing, right? If everything was straightforward, we'd not watch it, would we? It'd be boring. So he's certainly got that high tempo style to give anybody fits. He's awkward, he pivots, he stood in front of you 1 minute and he pivots around the side of you the next. He's not a massive puncher, but he throws enough punches to do some damage. He hits reasonably hard. He's got a good chin. He's got a really good chin, a good engine. That's a long, hard night.
He's a long, hard night. He's like a Scott Quigg type guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Long night, isn't it?
A thing like that. You get the elite like the Spence and the Crawford. If you give them space and allow them to get some timing off, they'll always do well. You know, they'll always shine. But when you get those pressure fighters who just literally just come at you from all angles, really difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a good fighter, and I think Carl Greaves, he don't strike me as a loudmouth. You know, he's not one of them trainers that's out there like Ben Davidson and Dave Caldwell. I'm not having a go at Dave Caldwell because he's got that bit of promoter inside him, because he's ex-promoter. Yeah. But Carl Greaves is not from that ilk, as he's like even though he promotes as well and he trains with his ex-fighter and managers, he does a lot. He's not one of them people that's rimming everybody and all that and out there every second, is he, and all that. So I give him a bit of respect here, Carl Greaves, because they've gone about their business quietly and they've had short end of stick, haven't they, with Hearn and a few other people. So I think they've done brilliant, mate. So that Zach Parker, didn't they, they've got, and they've got him in a good fight. He could be upgraded if he beats John Ryder, couldn't he, to champion if Canelo do not with belt. So Bricktop will deliver there for him. But and even Ishan in a pound for pound fight. Come on. I think they've done brilliant, man.
I used to work with Carl Greaves a little bit. I had a kid who he managed, a bit of a journeyman, or he became a journeyman. And I did a corner with Carl, or Carl helped me in the corner. Just good guy, proper hard-working guy. No nonsense, no politics, no, you're not checking how much he's given the kid or anything like that. He's just as transparent as they come. Boxing needs more people like him. Probably because as an ex-fighter, he knows what it's like to be not treated that well. Yeah. And I just think it's great to see other people coming on the block. But do you know something? What always frustrates me with the Neil Marshalls, Marshals, the Carl Greaveses and the Evanesians, they've always got to work 5 times harder than everybody else to get the opportunity. And it's people think we hate the earns and stuff. All we're about is a level playing field. There's no level playing field in life. Everybody's aware of that. But there should be a level playing field in sport, mate. Maybe that's a naive, altruistic type of view, but there's got to be a level playing field in sport, and there isn't. And it just shows, doesn't it? You mean the fact that Conor Benn has never won a British title, and he said it's costing him hundreds of thousands of pounds in legal representation. That most fighters haven't even got hundreds of thousands of pounds in terms of earnings. So it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. What
do you think's at board game Conor Benn a 50 grand fine? Did you read it?
I don't know what it's for, because initially I thought it was something, he said Rule 25 1.1, and I thought that fine was something to do with the drugs, and apparently it's something else, but they've not divulged, or have they?
Not said what it is, have they? I went through Green Book last night and I just couldn't fathom it out where they were, because a lot of them, they contradict themselves with the rules, don't they? And I think, well, that can be argued,
Yeah.
And I just went, oh, I had to put it down. It was 2015 version anyway.
I've got the Green Book. 50 grand is a lot of money, mate.
Yeah.
Now, Eddie trivialized it and said it was a joke. You don't get fined 50 grand for a joke.
No, you don't. Yeah.
So I don't know what he's done. He should have been fined more than 50 grand for what he said about Robin Deakin and all that.
Yeah, I didn't like what he said about Robin Deakin because he's disabled.
Disgraceful. And do you know what? People say he was only young, and they tried to cover that up. That's not young. That's when you get a privileged kid with his privileged mates laughing at people with disabilities. Scumbag.
Yeah, not very good. Not very good. I'm going to send you another link, Julian.
Absolutely.
Right, 2 seconds.
Give me 3 minutes. I'm going to make a cup of tea, mate.
Go on then, lad. All right, 2 seconds.
Cheers, pal. Thanks.